Welcome to the video tutorial. Today we're going to build a to-do list in React.js. So the first thing which you need to do is you need to open a text editor. I'm using Visual Studio Code, and then in the terminal, in whichever folder you want, you need to write npx create react app, and you give a name to that app. So I'm going to name it to do. So it will create a React app named to do. Okay, the app is created. You're going to see this happy hacking message. So once your app is created, you need to open this folder whichever you created. So I created this to-do list, so I'm going to open it. Okay, and once you open it, you need to just go to your terminal and type npm start, and it's going to host your application on port 3000, so you can actually see what's inside this application. Yep, so now it's hosted. You can see this is what's available inside this app. So I'm going to clean it up. So what you need to do is go to the source folder, and you need to delete a few files. So delete app.test. We don't need logo, we don't need web vitals, we don't need setup. So we'll delete these files. Okay, and then go to app.js. Everything inside this div, just delete this. Okay, and just give it an h1 tag of hello world. Okay, and remove this import logo and type import react from React. Then go to index.js, remove web vitals, remove this. Okay, and I think we're done. Yeah, we are done. Oh, also in app CSS, we need to delete the entire styling option. Right, give a star and then margin of 0. So by default in React, there is a little bit of space in the top, so we need to remove that. So just give it a margin of 0, and now we are good to start. Okay, now let's start building the to-do list. So the first thing I want you to do, I want you to go beside React, and I want you to give a parentheses, and I want you to write use state. Guys, it's gonna make sense in a second, just stick around. So the next thing you need to do is go below function and write const to do, then set to do, and then I'm gonna give it a use state of 0. So guys, what's happening is I've basically declared a variable to do. I'm using set to do to change the value of to do, and I have initialized to do variable with a value 0. If you don't understand, it's fine. It's gonna make sense in a minute. Now, what if I replace this hello world and I gave a parenthesis, because I'm gonna write a JavaScript inside of it, and I write to do variable. So it's gonna display the value of to do. So as you can see, the initial value is 0. That's why it's displaying to do inside a h1 tag. What I want to do is I'll simply write an input tag below this. Okay, so it's going to give me a input box, and below that I'm going to give a button, and I'll just write add inside the button. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll write something inside it, and I'll click on add, and then it's going to display that in above the box. Let's see how that happens. Now inside the input tag, I want you to write on change equals to parenthesis changed. So what it's going to do, every time something is changed inside the input tag, it's going to run a function changed. Now let's define what this change function is going to do. So let's actually create a function right now because it's freaking out. Okay, so now a function is created named changed. So it's not going to give me an error anymore. And I'm going to create another variable called thing. And I'll set thing equals to use state. And let's give it an initial value of workout. So what I want to do is whatever I write inside this input tag, I want it to be stored inside this thing variable. So what I'll do is I'll simply write e. I'll give a parameter e, and I'll simply write set thing. And inside set thing, I'm going to write e dot target dot value. So guys, this E means event. So this event is happening from this input tag. So whatever happens inside the input tag, it's gonna find out the value and it will put it inside this thing variable. Now it's gonna make sense in a second. Let me show you how. So whenever I click on button add, what I want to do is, okay, so on click, I want to run a function add. Okay, now just write const add equals to, this one doesn't have any parameter. Now I want you to pay attention to this next part. So inside of useState, currently we have 0, but I'm gonna remove this 0 and I'll put an empty array. So whatever is inside that array, I want to display on the screen, because that's how a to-do list will work. It can't just have a single value. It will be an array, and inside that array there will be multiple elements, and it's going to go through those elements and it's going to display it one by one. So every time I click on add, I want to push the value inside the thing into the use state initialized with an empty array. So what I'll do is I'll simply write set to do. So it's going to set the value of to do with an array, and I'll give 3 dots and to do and write to do. So what these 3 dots to do does is basically it's going to copy everything that was initially inside the to do, and after that we can add whatever we want. So right now I'm going to add the value of thing. Thing is this variable inside which we are storing whatever value we put inside it by typing over here. So now let's see what happens. So right now the value of thing is workout. So let's see what happens if I click on add. Okay, so it's showing me workout, but what if I write something like money and I click on add? So yeah, so it's basically adding after workout, because it's copying everything that was initially in this value inside the string, and after that it's adding the thing. So I'll remove this. Now what I need to do is, I don't want it to display side by side but one after another. So what I'll do is, inside this h1 tag, I'll write to do dot map. It's gonna make sense. Hold on. To do dot map item, give an arrow, small brackets, and inside that small bracket, I'm gonna give it an h. I'm gonna give it a p tag of item. Let's initialize thing to nothing. And beside laundry, if I put something like, okay, workout. Yeah, so now it's working. What this particular thing is doing, it's mapping through to do, it's mapping through this variable, it's going through every single item inside the array one by one, and it's rendering it on the screen. And if I type something like God, doesn't make sense. Let's type video tutorial. Okay, and when I add this, it's going to push this inside the to do by this add button. And now it's going to render it on the screen. So this is how you basically build a to-do list. I hope that made sense. We can also give it a little bit of styling, but I don't think that's necessary. But you know what, let's do this. So what I'm going to do is, I'll give the body a display of flex. Okay, yeah, display of flex, and justify content to center, align items to center. I'm gonna give it a height of 100 view height. Let's refresh this. Yeah, it's in the center now. Let's actually replace, we don't need this h1 tag. Let's remove this, and here let's just, instead of p tag, let's give it an h3 tag. Yeah, that looks much better. Remove, let's make this array empty. So now if I write something like, okay, make a tutorial, or something like workout. Okay, so it's gonna work. So it's pretty simple. Now, I don't want you to just build a very simple to-do list. You can add a bunch of feature. If you're looking for ideas, you can maybe style it a little bit. You can add a delete button. You can add an edit button. So there are many features which you can add, but the purpose of this tutorial was to give you an initial understanding of how to make a to-do list. So I hope you learned something from this video. Thank you so much for watching.